talking to adults about differences. So I want you to look at your friend next to you, and I want you to think about what makes you similar to them, what looks the same, and then what makes you look different. What's unique about you? What kind of differentiates you from the rest of your class? Think about that while I'm talking. So I wanted to read this quote to you. A human being is a single being, unique and unrepeatable. So that means that every single one of you is unique, and the world would not exist without one of you. It wouldn't be the same. Your class wouldn't be the same, your school wouldn't be the same, and your community wouldn't be the same, and your family wouldn't be the same. So it's really important that you're all so unique and special to your family. So some people are born with everyone has a different eye color, different hair color, different skin color. Some people are tall, some people are short, some people are bigger, some people are smaller. Some people have more differences that are more noticeable. So for example, I was born with a craniofacial syndrome, which means that I was born with a cleft lip and palate. So when I was born, my nose was open and my palate was open. So the top of my mouth was open. And they fixed that in surgery. And I also was born, most kids have a soft spot when you're born. So if you touch like the top of your head, when you're born, you have a soft spot there so your brain can grow. And my soft spot wasn't there, it was fused together. So they had to fix that so my brain could grow healthily. And after that surgery, I had a bunch more, but I really was a pretty happy kid. I was a typical 3-year-old, 4-year-old. I was happy, I smiled. And my family was very accepting, and my friends were very accepting of my differences. But sometimes in public, it was a little bit harder. People would stare, and kids would kind of point and whisper to each other. And for me, I just put on my strongest smile and I waved and I said hi. And for my parents, it was a little bit more difficult because no one wants to see their kid made fun of and picked on, and especially when you're so confident and so happy to be who you are, you don't want to be picked on. So it was harder for them. But through growing up and having different surgeries and becoming more confident, I was able to not see that anymore. I didn't really notice people staring. I didn't really, listen to what they were saying. I knew who I was, and I was happy with who I, was growing up to be. So when I was in college recently, I did a project where I decided that instead of just being accepting of my own differences, I wanted to I had friends who were born with other major differences that were very noticeable. So I had a friend in school who was born with no arms and no legs, but he was an artist. And I became friends with a family whose daughter was born with a syndrome called Apert, which was very similar to what I was born with. And so I wanted to take pictures of them, since I was a photographer, and I wanted to beautify their differences and show other people that they're just like anyone else. They just look a little bit different. So I put these pictures up, and I didn't put any names underneath. I didn't put anything about them. I didn't write, who they were, what they were born with, and I had people go look at them. And one person came up to this picture over here and said, how did that guy do art? He has no arms and no legs. How does he get around? And I said, you know what? He's actually over there, and you can go ask him. And that's my first thing I wanted to tell you guys, is that it's okay to notice differences and to think about them and to even ask questions. But just like anything else, it's how you ask it. So think about the differences between if I said, why do you have glasses? I don't understand. But if I say that, rather than saying, oh, I have glasses too, and it helps me see. That's so interesting, like we have the same thing. Or, why does your face look like that? That's just not, it doesn't sound nice, and it would hurt my feelings if someone said that to me. But if someone came up to me and said, I saw a scar on your nose, were you born with that? Then it opens up a conversation, and then I can start talking about it. And it won't hurt my feelings, it won't insult me. I actually rather someone ask me a question than whisper, point, or even some people, if they don't know how to ask and their parents don't know how to ask or talk to their kids about differences, they'll walk away and they'll completely avoid the person. And that's not nice, right? No one wants to be ignored because we're all people, right? So I had this exhibition, and it went so well, and I had such a great reaction from it that I found out about this fellowship program, which is a big program that people get involved with, and you have teachers and mentors and other friends to help you out, and they helped me build Art of Compassion. And these are some of the pictures I had taken of my friends. And Art of Compassion has become great. It's a way that I have met people that I wouldn't have otherwise met, friends of mine that have become family. We are now part of a craniofacial, we call it, family. And they're friends of mine that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. And we all understand each other. But aside from that, parents who usually don't know how to talk to kids about differences or are uncomfortable are now asking me questions and asking my friends questions. So it's become a really great success. So this is one of my friends, Mary Kate. She's 4 years old now. She was born with Apert syndrome. And before I started going on my own to different schools, I went with her mom, Carrie, and Mary Kate to a couple of schools. And their message, raise your hand if you read the book Wonder. So in Wonder, Augie's born with a craniofacial deformity, right? And his main goal is to teach kindness. That it doesn't matter where you are, it might not seem like the easiest thing to do, but it really is the easiest thing to do, to be kind and to choose kind. So Mary Kate and her mom, Carrie, go to different schools together, and Mary Kate is a typical 4-year-old. She laughs, she smiles, she runs around like a 4-year-old. You can't really contain her, but she does everything like anyone else. She just has to learn a different way sometimes. It took her longer to talk. She walks a little bit differently. I'm going to answer questions in a minute, okay? Hold on to that, though. And so we went to schools, and once I was going with her, and I realized this is awesome. Look at how many people want to learn about being kind, and how many people find it to be really important. So I started going to schools with her, and from that, Carrie started this Choose Kind campaign in Chicago. And in Beverly, we went to this big convention type of thing at a school there, and we met the author of Wonder. And I sat with 13 other families that had children born with similar syndromes that I was born with. And I'll tell you, I met some of them for the first time, and I felt like I've known them for my entire life. And it was really such a changing experience. And we all were there for the same message, to choose kind and to acknowledge people's differences, but really accept them and appreciate them. And notice that, everyone's different. Everyone has unique qualities, but everyone has something they can give to somebody else and something they can teach someone else. Oh, that doesn't show up so well, but I'll read from over here. So there are some endpoints I wanted you to remember throughout the day. One of them is that everyone has differences that make us unique, and they should be valued and they should be recognized. And it's okay to ask questions about differences, but it's not okay to point and stare. And it's always better to ask than to walk away. But you have to think about how you're going to ask that question, how you're going to acknowledge someone's differences so you don't hurt their feelings and you don't make, you know what a mockery is? Like kind of make fun of it and make it into a joke, because that would hurt your feelings if someone did that to you, so you don't want to do that to someone else. And it doesn't matter how old, how young, how big, how small you are, everyone can make a difference, and everyone can choose to be kind. So I'll leave you with one last quote. Be kind whenever possible, because it is always possible. So, does anybody have any questions? I'll take you first because your hand was raised.
My neighbor, Mike and Carrie, they have a little girl, and she's like 2 or 3, and she had like part of her brain removed because it wasn't the right part. So she's probably not going to be able to talk.
But she'll learn different ways to do that, right? With sign language, but it's great you know that. Did you ask them any questions? Or did they tell you about it?
They told me a little bit about it, and sometimes we get to try it because they have a lot of different things about things.